what a character defining moment for Shiki. This chapter, and it really, I always kind of like try not to go towards too much of it, but I always end up leaning, just covering over the comparisons between obviously aspects between Eden Zero and Fairy Tale because same author, and they get compared by people who don't pay attention to aspects of the series, and I want to just say because it's the same art style that the characters are just copy and paste, which obviously is not true if you've actually read both series. And I think this chapter is that there is a moment that you can really just use, and that shows such a gap between Natsu and Shiki that this moment alone just opens up a large, just a much larger gap between them. The chapter obviously starts out with right where we left off. You have Wise who just lost his arsenal, so he just knew he's trying to like borrow clothes from Rebecca. We're getting some comedy stuff. And I chuckled, not because of the comedy in it. I thought it was, kind of goofy, the obvious lewdness because of Paul taking your panties in a previous chapter. But one thing that I thought was very amusing is in the chapter where that happened, the official translation one by, I don't know, was it the Kodansha English version? Whoever does the English version, they censored it. They took out the hand of Paul with the panties in his hand, which I was like, I don't know why that's so bad. I mean, it's not even on a person; it's underwear. And then they showed like that one chick who was like an underwear model in a previous page of that same chapter, which I thought was like, why even bother censoring at that point when you already had something far lewder than just underwear that wasn't on anybody. But then in this chapter, you actually see like her remembering that moment, and you get the panel like in the background, just like a quick memory lapse of her, just remembering this happened, and you see the panel where he's holding the underwear. So I'm wondering if they're going to show that in the official Kondansha version, because obviously if they have the panel in their chapter and in their in the volume as not showing the hand, are they going to Photoshop it in this flashback one as well? And if they don't, it'll be kind of weird. That why would you have the hand in the flashback, not the first one? I don't know. I just thought that was amusing when it happened. And then her and Wise are going to get new clothes. She's going to get some clothes for like battle, an actual like female battle attire, and Wise is going to actually get some clothes, and then he's using poor little robot Pino to cover up his junk as he's like walking around trying to find some clothes. And I did actually really like the panel opening back up to Shiki's fight, because they're like, "Where's Homura and Shiki?" And then the first thing you see back to Shiki is he's literally underneath the fist of the big Scarlet Knight Dracoon, which I thought that was such a good moment. It's like, actually, you know what? Where is he right now? And just like flattened as like underneath this big robot fist. I thought was great. But then it just kind of like you see some smartness from Shiki, because it's shown that the robot has like an ether coating, so he can't use his ether gear to change the gravity on it. He can't use his ether to alter the ether of said thing in order to affect it, which opens up like obviously a thing in the series. If you have these ether coatings, then you can gain some form of immunity to ether gear like abilities. And obviously, like I'd imagine it's not like full on it forever. Like you get some like god character has ether gear as well. As I doubt like anything with just like, oh yeah, an ether coating. It's like, well, you can't do anything. It's probably like to a degree, kind of like any form of shielding. It's got a level that it can go up to. Anything beyond that level, it's gonna break through. But Shiki was very smart. He couldn't make the suit heavier, so instead he made the weight of the ground heavier. So just all that vacant space, it became more than the load that it was made to hold. So then it collapsed. He and the robot are falling down into the slums, and now he's brought her to where she's trying to deal with. Again, Shiki being smart, he's taking her to a whole different location where she's probably not got the best memory of anymore, not at the best experience, and now she's taking him to the enemy. And again, also very smart. He can't mess with the weight around the robot with gravity manipulation. So instead, he makes himself heavier and just makes that fall a lot more intensive. And then, gets out of the way, slams the robot much heavier to the ground. It loses like its thrusters. It's not able to move around nearly as fast, I'd imagine. And here he is just like talking to her, and he's just like, I brought you that much closer to Homura. And this this was the moment that I was talking about earlier. This is a really big kind of like crossroads, different pathways moment for both Shiki, in comparison. Well, Shiki's a character and differentiating himself from Natsu. And again, I I don't like to compare them from a standpoint of like the series because they're two different series. They've had very different kind of like styles to them. There's obviously aspects similar. I mean, it's still the same author. He's gonna have similarities, but this was a very different kind of moment because where if you look at something like two of these scenes, two of the characters storming into the enemy rather base headquarters. You have Natsu during the Grand Magic Games when he rushed into the Sabretooth lodging, and you have Shiki when he rushed into Kurenai's building. Now, with Natsu, his was entirely the way that, he found out that Sabretooth treated Yukino, and he was pissed off from a standpoint of how she was treated, but also how they pretty much defiled, like, how he sees the guild. Because he sees guilds as like a family, it's a place that people go home to, it's a place that they should feel safe and welcome, and that obviously the way that General was having it, it was not even close to that. And he took it very personally because anything defiling of the idea of a guild, Natsu obviously is going to take very much to heart. Personal thing for him. Whereas here, when Kurenai is talking to Shiki and she's like, you want some like heartbreaking reunion between a mother and her daughter, you're not going to get it. You're just looking for that emotional thing, and Shiki doesn't care about that. His is not a personal thing. He wants to fulfill the final mission of Valkyrie. He's trying to do something for her and then doing something for Homura. His is more on closure. He wants there to be some form of resolution or closure between them, whether or not whether or not Homura decides to kill Kurenai, whether or not he decides to forgive her. He's like, whatever her decision is, that is her decision. But I want to help her get to that decision. I want her to get that, like I said, closure and resolution for her, which I really liked because you have these two instances where characters are doing similar things, but for completely different reasons. Shiki's was completely like he's doing it for somebody else, but he's like, beyond that, it's not my business. I'm helping them get this done, but beyond that, I'm not taking any part of the actual like personal aspects of it. Whereas Natsu took it very personally, and he was like ready to disband Sabretooth if he was able to. He's pretty pissed off. And then they get back to fighting. Shiki's just not happy about it. He's like talking about how in response to Kurenai when she's talking about the delusions and idealism and how hollow it can be and how people need to see reality. And Shiki's just like, the reality you see is not doing anything for this world. And he's like, none of this is making a better place for anybody. Goes and punches the mech, and even though it doesn't, it's protected within ether coating, he's able to put a dent in it. And it's not like, oh yeah, he put more ether into it. He just straight hit it like beyond his ether itself because it ended up like busting up his hand in the process. He gave up the complete and total health of that arm in order to get that punch across. So obviously he's pretty pissed off, and he's valuing just like the completion more than anything. So he still has it. I mean, the thing is, like, Shiki, we know that he's got an ether level beyond what he's fighting at, because he's got that powered up form, the full body ether gear that we used against the parasite that took the form of Elf Crimson. That whole form is still there, but we don't know his capabilities. Something like that. We don't know if he's going to be able to, if he goes in that form, is that just like straight up after that he can't use his ether gear? Maybe it needs to charge after that. Maybe that's his end all attack that he can't use anything after that. And we still have some mysteries of ether gear. We're still finding out aspects about them. So, that's still kind of hard for us to gauge. Obviously, he's only used it once, and afterwards it was, the end of the fight. But I would assume that, after he uses it, he's going to be at least exhausted and you're not going to be able to fight as much anymore. He's probably going to look for that best opening, find something about the robot, or maybe, get that team up with Valkyrie, or not Valkyrie, with Mora if she shows up. But I don't know if that'll happen because the fight's already look like to be aligning. I think it'll be the team fight, and it'll be a while because then we get back to the grouping of Wise and Rebecca, who, when she's like getting a new gun because Happy is all out of ether, he's pretty much just exhausted, he can't move anymore. And the storage unit they're in is all locked up, they can't get out. And here's Nino, who is now facing off against Rebecca, who's now got some new ether guns. She's got a lot of gun options on there. I'm wondering if there's any weapons that are references to something. It just reminds me of like was it one of a couple chapters ago in Blue Exorcist? There was a bunch of guns on a wall, and one of them was that I recognized was the noisy cricket from Men in Black, which I really like. I like spotting like little references. I'm wondering if there's one on the wall somewhere. I have to go back and look. But there he is. Trying to tell her like, I can't let you go out and do this. Any rebel that causes problems, they're gonna have to take down and defeat. If you stay here, at least until this rebellion is over, you'll be safe. She's not having that. Obviously, she's not gonna sit by for her own safety and let stuff go down. So here comes in Nino, who, like, briefly seconds ago looked a lot more lean, and his muscles just kind of swell up, and he's got these sick cybernetic, like, ether arms, which is cool because we're not just getting ether gear. The ether gear that we've seen it was lost. They called it, what was it, the Dark Ages. It's a much older style. Whereas now we have like all this new tech and these new weapons, and this seems to be some like cool cybernetic enhancement, like ether cybernetics. So I'm wondering if they're actually like coming out of his back, because you can see that the way that the panel at least looks, they're coming out of his back, but I can't tell if they're like floating or if he's like controlling like maybe like nanotechnology with his mind or something. I'm just gonna think of like some Doc Ock kind of thing. I am really interested in seeing this. Some 6-armed martial artists, ready to go at it. And it's unfortunate because this would have been like a much more cool character for Shiki to fight, because Shiki's style is more mobility. I mean, I think out of the 3 main characters, really, in comparison, I'm not going to count Aki, the lost seasonal name guy who actually had a martial arts style. But when you look at someone like Haru obviously was a swordsman, but his was much more in like a variety of things. That he would need to learn multiple sword styles to utilize them for the different swords he has. Whereas Natsu's much more of a berserker, much more of like a straight assault type character. The martial arts aren't really his thing. With Shiki and his high level mobility, I think a level of martial arts would really benefit him fighting somebody like this. Maybe Nino will join the crew. I'd be okay with that. I like Nino. I'm hoping he becomes, he's that bad guy who ends up switching over. But he's getting ready to fight Rebecca. We'll see how that goes. I'm intrigued. He's already talked about it. He's doing his whole thing about anime will save the universe, save the world. And even with that, he's like, well, if you're not going to fight, you won't be able to save the universe. You won't be able to save anybody. So I think he's going to be one of these guys. He's like, I'm going to fight you. I want you to win, but I'm not going to let you win. Like he kind of wants to be defeated, because then he's gonna know he's not gonna have to hurt anybody that he shouldn't. He's not gonna be he's gonna be able to let these people go and save other people, pretty much kind of thing. He wants the betterment of them, but he can't, by his loyalty to Kerr and I, willingly just let them pass and do it. He has to be defeated for it. I'm intrigued. I think his character's cool. He's definitely got that kind of vibe of somebody who could end up joining their crew maybe later on, maybe after this arc. I don't know. I would like it. He's definitely neat. He's got a fun character design, but at the same time, he's already got like a really cool power. Definitely the coolest out of the 3. Like Baku was cool. He's fast. He had a really neat axe. Garrett looks like he'd be like a throwaway guy, but he actually seems pretty powerful. He's got a neat whip, but nothing really special about him. This dude has a silly design that looks, honestly, even with an anime like Magical Schoolgirl on his shirt, he's got these buff cybernetic arms, and he just looks pretty intensive. To be perfectly honest, like I would like to see this character in the future, what he would be looking like much more seriously drawn and less with the funny style. Like if maybe like after a time skip and he's way more jacked and he's like wearing a much more serious outfit. Maybe not forever, we don't want to take away characters like fun aspects, but just to see him in some sick like Goro style like outfit and just getting ready to mess people up with some just like straight multi-arm martial arts. We will see though. We will see. We're moving up next chapter. What, 64 Reaper? But we're getting there. Well, this is 2 chapters from now will be the Heroes Week. Will be the week for Heroes, the crossover. Obviously not canon to the straight up Eden Zero manga, but it is from the, in Elseworlds and will be its own canon. Get to see
maybe Nino, but definitely Shiki, Rebecca, Wise, all interacting with the characters from Brave Master Fairy Tale. So look forward to that. Other than that, drop a comment below what you thought about this chapter. I really like the Shiki chapters, but I really wanted to use that chapter with Nino with his arms. I'm gonna use that for the thumbnail. I really like that one. I wish we got like a full page of it and just like that when because you get a full page, you get that extra kind of like detailing and shading. It'd probably look really sick with these really cool arms because not only are they cool in like idea, I like the weird swirling design to them. I think it looks neat. Anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you for listening. Bye.